back to this sacred space. My name is Kalu and I'm also known as the Scribe Priestess. And on this channel, I make videos about spiritual practices, spiritual development, and everything that has to do with our spiritual journey here on earth. And I've actually made now a series about spiritual practices, and we went through this series with the book Science and Spiritual Practices by Rupert Sheldrake. And we covered already 7 spiritual practices that he mentions on his book. But I feel and I know that in our very colorful world, there are a lot of other spiritual practices. So now I am going to be doing some videos where I am going to be sharing with you guys some spiritual practices that I believe they are very key to our spiritual development on earth. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how I came to these practices, why I find these practices to be important for our spiritual journey and for also our mental health and well-being. And I'm very excited to be actually starting a very personal, intimate, so to speak, video where I will be sharing much more about my own opinion and what it is that I have been doing so far in my journey and has actually worked for me. As always, you guys, there is going to be an extended version of this specific video on my webpage. This time I am going to be talking about why I believe this specific spiritual practice is good for the development of energy understanding. So why it is that for me the spiritual practice that we're going to be talking about today is important in the development of our capability and capacity to understand our own energy, and why that is also important in our spiritual development journey. If you feel curious enough to watch this extended version, it's going to be available on my webpage. I am going to leave down the link below if you want to go and check it out and become a member of our Scribe Priestess community. Grab yourself something to drink. Let's get started with today's video. Actually, guys, today we are going to be talking about the practice of movement and energy developing. I actually talk about this on my physical body series, why movement is actually so important for ourselves and our bodies here on earth as human beings. And if you haven't seen that video, I am going to leave down the link on the description so you can go and check it out. It's about movement, and I actually recommend you guys to watch it so you can understand even deeper why I am talking about this spiritual practice today. But the spiritual practice that I am going to be sharing with you today is about engaging yourself in disciplines that train you to understand what your energy is about. This can be through disciplines who actually make you move. So how I started this journey on understanding the importance of moving your body in order for you to cultivate your energy or your chi. I was very little actually when I started to do some martial arts. My mom was actually very interested in finding a practice where she could start engaging herself with her energy, and she found this dojo where they practice the Goju-Ryu Karate that comes from Okinawa. And to make the story short, I was able to be practicing karate for about 2.5 years or 3 years. I don't remember exactly. But I was able to go to the grade of green belt with 2 or 3 degrees. And I was on my way to get the yellow belt, or it was on the other side. I don't remember, but you know that they have these hierarchies of belts and colors. And I remember that one of the last things that I did is that I gave a class. This type of karate focuses itself on cultivating the energy inside of you in order for you to actually move the energy. And in this movements that you're doing inside of the katas. Katas are these synchronized specific postures of movements that you do in a specific order, so the katas, and you focus yourself instead of attacking, just defending and preventing actually a confrontation. And the way our teacher had his way of teaching really inspired my mother. And it wasn't until I was older enough is that I actually understood that we were working with energy. So he has decided to come and stay a little bit here. Are you okay? Hi, you? Yes, super. We are having very hot days here. We are currently, I think, at 31, and we are beginning the summertime here. So I believe it's going to be a very hot summertime this year. So yes. Are you okay? She came to say hello. But I remember when I didn't understand exactly what I was doing as a child, but I remember that every time after I finished the class, I was feeling very energized and I was feeling very happy after I have done this physical movement, which kind of makes sense because of the endorphins and everything that we can create by moving our muscles and engaging with our body. And then I started my adolescence journey. And I have to say that I forgot everything that I already knew about everything in my adolescence years. I actually had a very rough adolescence. I felt very alone and I felt very like I didn't fit with my peers. And I was like, I believe, you know, when you are trying to find your identity again, and I was trying to find meaning also in my life. And it was actually until I finished high school that I went into university that I reintegrated myself in spiritual practices. And it was very interesting because I started to learn from a very early age a lot of spiritual practices, and I also started to learn a lot of spiritual concepts since I was a very little child. I also walked the Mayan path with my mother when I was 11. I believe the adolescence was a very crucial site for me because I kind of went to the other extreme. So I was like, nah, I don't want to see anything of that. And then as I started again to incorporate myself into my own identity by going to university and actually studying something that I wanted, I began to connect with myself again. And when I started that, I not only found spirituality again and the contact with nature again, but I found yoga. Yoga was at that moment, I believe, starting to get a hype in Guatemala. And instead of going inside of a very hyped up practice as vinyasa yoga, I went to hatha yoga. To me, that was one of the most amazing things I have ever done. I was there in the practice very early in the morning. I would wake up almost at 4 so I could start there at 5:30 a.m. and then I would go to have my studies at university. And I remember that was one of the most stable things that I had in that university period. It was amazing, the powerful connection that I was able to attune with my body through the postures of yoga. And yoga actually opened up also another path for me, which was more directed in Buddhism. I started to learn about Buddhism. I was very interested in Tantra, Tibet, also Jainism. So yoga was actually the practice and discipline that opened up another way of finding spirituality for me. Actually, that's when I understood the concept of Kundalini. And that's something that's where I want to take this video to, because this practices of moving your body and actually having an exercise practice that teaches you how to engage with your energy and actually to master the powerful energy that you have inside as a being, as a spiritual being, are these disciplines who are going to activate your energy centers through meditation or through these practices of spiritual movements such as yoga. You can also talk about Tai Chi here or Qigong. You are learning how to actually move with the energy and move energy herself too. And I started with yoga, and that's where a very beautiful world of a lot of different things opened up itself to me. And of course, I had already learned about the chakras with my mother, but this was like my way of understanding them and actually integrating them on what it means to have a physical body. I am a very kinesthetic person, so I learned by doing and engaging my body on the things that I do. I found a very profound meditation ritual inside of the practice of Hatha Yoga. After doing Hatha, I started to really immerse myself on what meditation was. I was doing some crazy meditations at there was I never understood that, but it was like a Korean side in Guatemala, and these people were like teaching a lot of different disciplines, and inside of them there was meditation, there was tantra, also some other types of yoga. But because I already knew yoga, I immersed myself on meditation. I have to say, you guys, like, part of what we are doing here on earth is actually getting in contact with our physical body, because our physical body is our vessel, is how you connect with situation and engage in life. So the more you take care of your body, the more you're taking care also of your journey. And it actually makes a total difference if you are taking care of your body in a healthy way, or if you're absolutely just passing through life without taking care of your body. After I found Hatha Yoga, and I actually was doing a lot of meditation, I was so good. I mean, I could do a lot of postures. I was feeling very good about myself. I was very connected to my spirituality and to my spiritual path. And then we had a crisis in our family business, and I had to quit the studies that I was doing 1 year before I was graduating myself. And my whole life got a turn, and I started working full-time in my family business. And since that moment, my life just took another turn. I went through 4.5, almost 5 years of a spiral that was inside of being a businesswoman and doing these other things that had nothing to do with spirituality, that had nothing to do with psychotherapy. That was what I was studying in university. And I actually learned a lot about how to run a business, about sales, about making contracts, about negotiations, and how actually all of the economic world goes and rules itself by. I absolutely burned out. I was at the end of that 5-year period in absolute chaos, and I was a mess. I was really in a very deep depression, a very deep burnout. I had been working a lot for the past years in something that wasn't really my purpose and wasn't really what I was doing because I liked it and I wanted, but I was helping my family. And yes, after 5 years, I completely broke down and I was not able to work anymore. And because of the burnout, and I had to stop. What did I do in order to recuperate myself? Instead of getting myself into therapy, I started doing yoga again. And let me tell you guys, I don't kid you, like, I started doing yoga every single day. And I had a very special, beautiful yoga teacher at that time. And she would used to come to my house, I believe twice a week, if I remember correctly, twice a week, and we will do restorative yoga. And that restorative yoga actually started to heal my entire body from this very deep depression that I was on. Before I took the path of yoga, I had actually started to medicate myself because, I was having this really bad depression and I wanted to keep on going, working and working, but it was not sustainable. And I just wanted to quit everything that was like chemical, and I wanted to quit everything that was not doing good to my body. So I quit alcohol, I quit the medications, I quit I used to also smoke. I quit everything. It was just like, I am done with that and I am taking care of my body again. And it was hard. It was absolutely hard. It took for about a year until I got myself into a place with my body again where I was actually stable enough to get up and do something with my life. But the more I did yoga, the more I was strengthening up again my body. And that was the key solution to all of the other things that I was, leaving behind and making just like a blank slate again with my life and starting again my life after a burnout and a very deep depression state where I was. Yoga was the key. Yoga was one of the things that actually helped me. I am going to talk about other ones, other spiritual practices that I also did on that time to recuperate myself. But yoga was a key one, and I did it every single day. There was not a day that I didn't do it. That's the beautiful thing, is that with these practices, you don't have to be doing 1 hour or 45 minutes every single day about them. You can do 20 minutes in the morning, just stretching yourself, moving your body, connecting with your energy. But if you do it every single day, 20 minutes, that is going to start making a change in your body. So I used to do that every single day. And I kid you not, guys, it actually helped me also to start transmuting my thoughts and the feelings that I was feeling. So instead of focusing myself on negative things or things that weren't working, or that I was so sad because I was depressed or blah, 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 I started to gain a whole new perspective on life. And I do believe it had a lot to do about the energy that I was cultivating in me, the attunement that I was creating through the practices that I was implementing on my life. And one of them was yoga. Because I had already had my experience with Hatha yoga, I was continuing to do the Hatha yoga by myself. But when we stopped the restorative yoga with my teacher, we actually incorporated again Hatha yoga. And I actually did hot yoga for about a year and a half before Corona started. It was amazing, the capacity you have to get in contact with your body. And if you do something with discipline and like with practice, you will start to see the results. It just takes time, and it takes a lot of energy for you to put in there. But let me tell you, every time that I was doing that afterwards, I just felt like a new person. That has the capability of get yourself out of depressive states and everything. But why do I speak about disciplines that teaches you to work with your energy? Is because we are constantly receiving energy. We are a ball of energy. And if you don't move yourself, this energy gets stuck. After I did the hot yoga, I started to practice again by myself, Hatha yoga. But then I found Qigong. And my life changed, you guys. Like, to me, Qigong is one of the most amazing practices that you can be doing. And it's It's a beautiful spiritual practice of connecting and mastering your energy. Just like in the chakra system, on the Chinese medicine system, you have energy centers that are called stanyans, if I'm correct. But they're also like the chakras. They speak like the chakra system. And with Qigong, you are learning how to master your energy to, I don't want to use the word control, because it's not about controlling your energy, but it's about the mastering of it. It's the fact that you are consciously moving energy with intention, with your mind. And actually, Qigong focuses itself a lot on mentalism. And I believe mentalism is one of the laws of the universe that we really, really need to understand in this era of materialism and where we are as humans nowadays in the world. Mentalism is something that is going to bring a lot of answers to a lot of the problems that we are facing nowadays. Although I believe that all of the other laws are very important, but mentalism, I believe, is the key that opens up the door to a lot of other things. So Qigong works with the mind, and it works on the fact that your mind is powerful enough also to create energy. And this energy is moving inside of your body. After I changed my life completely and I just focused myself on my spiritual path, that was after I had this burned out moment, and I've been going in this spiritual journey ever since. Qigong has been a discipline that I have implemented in my life that has actually helped me to ground myself, to ground me more, to ground myself to Mother Earth, and to be more connected to the person that I am. It has given me a lot of power in my identity, but also a lot of self-power to be able to understand how powerful my mind is and actually how my energy works and how my body is also connected to that. So Qigong has really been a beautiful practice that I have been implementing and has opened up a bunch of other doors to a bunch of other things, more energy. I feel that I am even more intuitive since I've been practicing Qigong. The connection with my body and with my emotions has been just gone by the clouds. And Qigong is also a practice. And I mean, it's not only Qigong, you can see it in Tai Chi, and a lot of yoga postures also work with mudras, or they work with specific parts of your body that are called meridians. So Qigong works with the meridians, but I am not sure about Tai Chi, but I know that yoga also can work with the meridians. You are working with your organs, so there are some postures, some movements that are specifically target to improve, for example, your lungs, to improve your heart, to improve your posture. Everything is interconnected in this practice of moving your body. And one of the things that I also have been doing in my spiritual journey is that I have talked about in the physical body series is with food. It has also been a very interesting journey. I can talk about that even more. But I was into Ayurveda for about, I would say from 2019 to 2024. I was not only practicing Ayurveda, but also was very into preparing Ayurveda recipes and, learning about the doshas. And I was completely inside of Ayurveda. And that was also something that spoke to me so deeply, because it's a spiritual medicine who is interconnecting everything. So the medical component, the physical component, and your mental health and who you are, the spiritual part of who you are. So Ayurveda talked to me like really a lot. And I like a lot of the practices that Ayurveda has inside. And then as I found Qigong, I saw that actually the Chinese medicine also has a lot of similarities to the Ayurveda medicine, because they incorporate everything. It has to do with your body, with who you are, and they work with the elements. As I said, the key important part of this spiritual practice that I am sharing with you guys is that these are movements who are teaching you how to move your energy. And one thing that has Qigong, for example, and that you also have it in Ayurveda, is that you work with the elements. You work with earth, fire, water, and actually in Qigong you have fire, water, metal, and wood and earth. And I'm talking about Ayurveda because in Ayurveda you also do a type of yoga. You actually find a lot of Ashtanga yoga in Ayurveda, but you also have the Hatha yoga. And all of these connect themselves with the learning about the elements, about learning about your physical body. For me, the spiritual practice of moving yourself consciously with a discipline that is teaching you how to master your energy is crucial for our spiritual development here on earth. Because when you are understanding how your energy works, how it moves inside of your body, and how actually your mind is creating also, it's a co-creator of this energy, you are going to be absolutely finding the way on your path to understand, for example, your emotions. The more you connect yourself with your inner world through understanding your physical body and your creation of energy, you're going to be understanding your emotions. So on the moments that you are feeling very high emotions and you have different outlets to get that energy either focused or transmuted, it's going to help you to actually get out of situations. Just as it helped me, for example, to get out of this burned out situation, the fact that I was implementing yoga as a spiritual practice, and that I was out actually doing that very disciplined. So that is another thing that I believe that this practice teaches us. It's discipline. I believe discipline is a very beautiful virtue to be able to develop in our lives, because with discipline and with patience you can get a lot of things done in your life. If you are patient enough and disciplined enough, you will see results. Nothing that you are putting your energy into is going to get lost. Energy never dies. Energy just gets transformed. So energy never goes away to waste. Energy gets transformed. And that is one of the key things that you can learn in these disciplines, where you are understanding the art of the energy work. Just to wrap it up, you guys, this spiritual practice focuses herself into connecting with a discipline that is going to teach you how to move your chi, how to move and be the master of your life force energy. This chi, this kundalini force that you have, that we all have inside of us. And the more you connect to it, the more you're going to understand not only who you really are, but where you are, how you are, where you came from, everything. It's going to open up another vision of life herself. But first you need to get into the work of understanding your energy, understanding yourself. And as I said, there is this learning of what discipline is and what you can actually achieve. So yes, you guys, I am going to leave it here now. I'm going to go to the extended version. I hope you find this interesting. I hope you learned something. I'm going to leave you on the description the YouTube channel of a Qigong master that I follow and that I really like his way of teaching Qigong. And you can start doing this at any time on your path, you guys. Like if you don't have the capacity to go and pay some Qigong classes or yoga classes, go on YouTube and find yourself a teacher that you resonate with and start moving your body. your body is going to be very grateful, and so is going to be your soul, because you are engaging with your physical body too. Wherever you are, I am sending you a lot of light and a lot of love. Thank you so much for having watched this video, for being here. I am very grateful to be sharing this with you. And we will see each other on next video. Bye!